Hey friends, welcome to the Writer's Journey. I'm your host, Lauren Moore, and with me today is Ellen the Cutter Campbell and Kalene, she who bears the pink katana, Williams. Today we're talking with PerfectIt CEO Daniel Heuman. PerfectIt is a software tool authors and editors use to clean up their copy, and now they've launched a new product to help people check to see if their manuscript holds up to the Chicago Manual of Style's lofty standards. So we're going to talk editing, we'll talk about CMOS, and about the software tool that can make the editing process smoother. So Dan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. So great to be here.
Hi.
And I even have the lights not completely messed up this time as a bonus.
Yay!
That's always good. It's always a good thing.
I love that it's archived forever with my lights completely a mess last time.
Well, lights happen, and it's good to see you. It's been a few months. So how have you been? How's the summer been going for you?
Things have been good. I was in the UK for a while. Can't remember if the last one we did was there, but I was in the UK for a while. And then summer in New York has just been completely wonderful. And obviously the highlight from a work perspective was the launch, but also just finally away from, we had a really, really rough lockdown in the UK and being back to something not normal, but a lot more of that has been fantastic.
It's coming back. And then I heard you did an ACES presentation recently.
Yeah, they invited us to do three-part series. The first was the very first time we talked about the Chicago Manual online. This has not been out for long. This was it was August. So we did a webinar for them. That's available online. And we did two following webinars, just, beginners and an advanced course in PerfectIt, just to get everyone at the different levels. But we started with the Chicago Manual with a whole hour dedicated to that. So for any ACES members, that's available online now.
Yay, that's so exciting. And I know in Delaware, we've been having beautiful weather. I have the windows open as I'm editing, and it's just been a really great day. Ellen, how have you been? You're in the middle of a move, I know.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Now, the weather's lovely. The dogs are fine.
No one had a spontaneous combustion earlier at the
park? Smoking hay bales. What else would you think?
Yeah.
I mean, you're walking through the fields and the hay bales are smoking. They do spontaneously combust.
Oh boy.
Did you know that?
I've heard of such things, but I am from the north and in the suburbia, and I do not know. I've not witnessed it with my own eyes.
It sounds very alarming from here.
Yeah.
Someone needs to put it in a book.
For sure. Kalene, how have you been?
Same as last week, doing the grindstone, doing all the edits. I got through all the one litrpg stat math, and there was only like 3 more giant upheavals of we're talking 500 or so extra gains that weren't accounted for. So that was fun. Anyway, but yeah, that's me.
Well, speaking of editing, when we got started editing back in the day, one of the first things I discovered is that pretty much every punctuation and spelling question out there can be answered with, well, what does the Chicago Manual of Style say? It's not your opinion, editor. It's what does the Chicago Manual of Style say? But maybe in our audience, not everyone is aware of what this is. So, Ellen, I'll just pick on you as the veteran editor here. What is the Chicago Manual of Style, and in 2021, should we care?
Well, you should care if you want to be coherent and if you want to be recognized as a competent writer, because like it or not, if you are like substituting, say, asterisks for quote marks because it looks cool, nobody's ever going to take you seriously. The Chicago Manual of Style just lays out for you the correct usage, the right capitalization for your particular situation, what punctuation you need to use, things like that.
And it saves you worrying. If you are sitting there thinking, which way is this supposed to be? Which version of this do I do? What's the right format of something? The worst thing you can do is have to figure that out constantly as you write, as you edit. You want a source, you want some place to look, and the Chicago Manual, provides 1,000 pages of that, or however long it is.
But Dan, I'm glad you brought that up, because show and tell here. I've got one. This is the Chicago Manual Style. It's the 16th edition, and you can see it's huge. It's massive. And if I've got a question, I first need to figure out where in this book can I go to find my answer. And then when I look at it, I got to kind of process that answer and apply it to the manuscript. This can be kind of time consuming, and confusing.
It is totally confusing.
Yeah.
It really is.
So I'm really glad that you came up with a software tool to kind of help me along the process with that. Where did you come up with the idea of like PerfectIt is the software that needs to kind of answer this problem for editors and authors out there?
Awesome. I'm going to say that I'm going to actually give a massive shout out instead to the Chicago Manual and to editors and writers generally, because the problem that you're describing is something the Chicago Manual to a large extent dealt with CMOS Online. So their online edition is fantastic. When I have a question, I can't handle looking at index. I mean, never mind a physical book and so many things that I don't want to do. And their online subscription is remarkably affordable. And because that book becomes searchable, that's the first thing that editors and writers need. And as a sector, people sort of think editing, writing, it's not technologically oriented. Nonsense. Like the Chicago Manual Online, I don't know, it's 2005, 2006. Like it's early. There's a reason why the Chicago Manual has been around for 115 years. It's because actually it does adapt with times, and images of editors and writers that's not keeping up with technology is also like must be true. It's true for some people, of course, that these archetypes, stereotypes coming from somewhere, but it's not true of the sector as a whole. So I would say the first answer is CMOS Online has got you covered. Where we fit in is that even if you've got CMOS Online and you're thinking, okay, what's the right version for this? And CMOS Online can help with that. What if you don't know to look for it in the first place? What if there's an issue in your document that you don't realize is an issue? And also, oh my God, how much time does it take even online to stop what you're doing, search? The idea with the Chicago Manual of Style for PerfectIt is that it's helping you. It can't find everything in that massive book, but if it's finding some of those things and it's teaching you the principles of the manual as it does it, that's kind of been the key motivator and what got us and the Chicago Manual of Style together to do that.
So you're like, I've already got this software tool that's already looking for issues in the author's manuscript. Why not kind of add to that another piece? And that piece is where the manuscript is having little Chicago Manual style errors.
Precisely. So essentially, that's exactly how we've looked at it. And what it meant, because we're looking at it that way, is you've already got the tools. What extra can we add? So, and then that's how we did it. For anyone who's like, oh God, I know there's going to be a price here. I know that where this is going when people appear on the show. What we did was we made this free for anyone who has those tools. So if you have your PerfectIt subscription and you have your Chicago Manual subscription online, then this doesn't cost anything extra. We made it very much to be, okay, you've got your two tools, but how do you work? Well, you want it in Word as you work. And we've made that possible.
That's cool. Kalene and Ellen, how do you ladies as editors use software tools? Do you use software tools and where do they kind of fit into your editing process?
I do use PerfectIt. I use PerfectIt on everything because it finds the things that I missed, where the brackets aren't closed, or did we spell this the same way both times? Things like that. And it's invaluable to me. I mean, it picks up 30 or 40 things that you wouldn't have noticed. And that's a lot.
Yeah. Previously, and I still do it because I've been doing it like this for so long. I create this list of things to double check, and then you put into the Word to be like, okay, is it spelled this way? Is it spelled that way? But still, like, you might have a flipped IE, and reading through things, your brain knows because you've read it 6 times that it's supposed to be IE. So you don't see EI, and the PerfectIt can catch that. It can catch that and be like, hey, so there's 33 IEs in this word, and you have one that's EI. Would you like to fix that? Yes, I would.
It's amazing. It's a fantastic tool.
But I'll pick up on from what Lauren asked, and you know, she was asking, and thank you. First of all, it's just always amazing and wonderful to hear that. But Lauren asked a question which I'm really interested in too, which was, you know, editing tools generally. Are you using others? Are you, what else do you like from a writing and editing perspective? And I can't answer that question because it's kind of the way I try and have our team develop PerfectIt is we don't look a lot at what everyone else is doing. We know what our audience wants, and we want to produce that, not what the other products are. But there's a wider audience here. I'd love to hear what you like and why.
I don't use anything else. I've tried everything else. I tried most of it because I was doing a comparison show. You know, this is this is that, this stinks, that doesn't, this. But none of them, they all just get in my way. Because when you're editing fiction, it's more intuitive than, say, editing for a newspaper. So you've got to be able to like get in there and not have it tell you, oh, this is passive voice. And I know it's passive voice. I already know this. I don't need you to stop me and tell me that. So I don't use any of the editor's guiding kind of software that authors like to use, like Grammarly. Grammarly is trash.
Yeah.
Pro Writing Aid is better. Hemingway is not too bad, but like I said, they all get in my way. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, and for me, like those other ones, I have to load it into something else. So I have to take this document, go to this other place, load it in pieces, usually, because it can't handle, like, most of the manuscripts are, you know, 90, 120, 200,000 words long. So it's like I have to split that like 6 times just to be able to get through it. And with PerfectIt, it's there. It's already in the Word document. And just like Ellen is saying, you know, I know when it needs to be that passive, or when it needs to have, you know, some tellings, it needs this, that, and the other. I mean, that's what I'm being hired for. So to get those things that I might overlook, like especially with the litrpg, with numbers and levels and skills and holy crapola on toast all over again, is a huge benefit. Especially the ease of it just being there. To just be like, click PerfectIt. It runs its scan, and then I'm done. It's nice.
Well, I never did those, you know, try all 3. I tried Grammarly and I tried Pro Writing Aid about a year ago, and I liked Pro Writing Aid. One of the things I liked about it was the suggestions seemed pretty accurate. I might get back I usually get back hundreds of suggestions, and I'll accept, like Ellen said, about 30 usually. So kind of clicking through all of those. And I noticed that Pro Writing Aid suggestions were more accurate than Grammarly. So I appreciated that. I also sometimes make a universe Bible on the side if the client would like that, where I'm keeping track of all the characters' names and their descriptions and the planet names and locations and weapon names. All of those spellings can be different. But I have to copy and paste them all into one document, so it's there and I can use it as a reference. But I hear that one of the cool features of PerfectIt is that it can keep track of all of those new made-up words for you.
Yeah. Not as with everything with PerfectIt, like the way we pitch the product is very much as a tool for professionals. It's, you know, it's not making decisions for you. It's helping you on these things that are really tough editorial judgments. And so when you say, will it do those things for you? The first thing I just immediately want to say is yes, to some extent.
Yeah.
Like it has things that will help check names that you've made up. But it's not going to, you know, it can't take away that work completely. It just provides an extra backup, an extra check against it, because it's so easy to go wrong with those.
It tells you when you need to make a decision. It doesn't make the decision for you.
Yeah. And I like that because, like, just like I was saying earlier, I was running a check on an old book that I had, or a short story I had written, just to see. And I was like, oh, well, there's 5 little bloopers. And that's out in print somewhere. So that's nice. And it's gone through, like, I don't know how many eyeballs. So, and we didn't have PerfectIt back then.
Do you want me just to jump in and show you where that feature is? Because it's pretty obscure and a lot of people won't know that one.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. And if you could talk to someone who's kind of considering putting this on Word and they've never done it before, kind of like quickly walk them through like how they would get that onto their computer and
Oh, that's probably a bit more than that. That's gonna be hard from where I'm at right now.
I will say that I did it myself with no help. So if I can do it, you can do it.
Woo.
It's giving me all sorts of warnings. I'm just going to choose share my screen.
Warning,
here we
warning,
Okay.
Robinson.
So I have my document open. I did make sure, Ellen, I knew wanted to see that photo.
Do you want me to click that in there?
I had to make sure it was. I appreciate the T-shirt.
Yay!
Woohoo! Nice.
Oh, I need to get the new one because it has our names on it.
Awesome. Anyway, yeah, thank you for that one. So I wanted to cover that feature because it's just that little bit obscure. Where it would exist is, and we can come back and I'll show you all the basics in just a minute. But if anyone is listening, like, oh, how do I do that? You can create house styles, list of preferences within PerfectIt, and it might be that you make a new style for a document, and it might be a new RPG, and that will just be this style. And for this RPG, I'm going to go in. This is all fairly advanced. This is not how PerfectIt works. Don't want to scare anyone, but just want to show that feature that you described of keeping track of character names, keeping track of things that you've made up, is the Always Find tab, and looking for similar words, and whatever that similar word might be. If there's a lot of variations of a name, I could just remember that we're using that one. If we've got a new star system, well, that's probably in the dictionary anyway, but you get the idea. They can just be added as a list, and then what happens is PerfectIt looks for something close to them, might not, just where a mistake might exist, and says, hang on, is this the thing you were trying, you'd already listed? Because I know there was a specific spelling you wanted. Anyway, that's just really, really quick to show what that one is, because I know that most people won't find that.
Very cool.
Okay, so while we're using PerfectIt to run our spelling checks and to kind of keep track of all of those, we can also use it to run our CMOS check. So how does that work?
Oh, should I just jump straight back and show you that one? Okay, let me try that again then.
Really quick, while you're opening that, Kit has a question, probably for future things, maybe a standalone version of PerfectIt, because they don't have Word. So that's kind of bringing into like the pro writing aid and stuff where it's a separate thing that you have to go into. Do you guys have any future ideas for creating kind of like that web-based version of it, or do you already have something like that?
I mean, we certainly like that when we can read the direction that the tech world is moving in, which is obviously online, platform neutral. Mm-hmm. And as a company, we really obviously like that direction. We know we need to keep up. But at the same time, at the moment, it's very much designed around Word. It wouldn't work anywhere because it uses all sorts of clues around the document, like your headings. There's just a lot of ways in which the context that you are in a document shapes what you're writing. Whereas if you were on a website, there's fewer clues, and it wouldn't be able to do as much as it does at this point. But the direction would be a good one for the future for sure.
All right, Kit. So keep a lookout. They're thinking about it. Okay.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, if you've never seen PerfectIt before, or never seen the Chicago manual style before, let's do that. So you would be in Word, and I've got my old master's thesis up. A lot of where the Chicago manual comes in is on academic writing, and PerfectIt just sits within the ribbon in Word, just sits there. PerfectIt, click Launch PerfectIt, and then usually you just click the big blue start button. But if you've got a CMOS Online subscription and you've linked the two accounts, then you can choose this new option, which is this is an official product of the Chicago Manual of Style, and then click Start.
So there's actually quite a few different options there of different types of checks that you can run. So you've definitely got a lot of options here.
Yeah, I can show that later on. But at that point, I've set it to run essentially all the checks. But if you're doing fiction, you might not be very interested in the label heading on tables, and you can save yourselves a bit of time if you turn some of those off. But I'll run through them to see the kind of relevance. So it says hyphenation of phrases. The phrase non sequitur is usually open. So instead of doing what PerfectIt normally does, which is give you two choices, and it will do that on some of these, this is a clear preference. From the Chicago Manual of Style, it says the phrase non sequitur is usually open, and then it says see more from CMOS 7.89. And if I click that, you can see the actual sort of guidance straight from CMOS. They're not, it's not quite word for word, but it's close to it. And it's the most relevant bit. So here it says, it's a non-English phrase. A phrase from a language other than English usually remains open or hyphenated as in the original language, regardless of its position in a sentence. And you can see the examples. And
wow. So it's really not telling you what to do, but giving you the information for you as the author and editor to make the choice.
Precisely. All the background, and even like, this is not our work. This is Chicago Manual, and the beauty of it. Look at how they phrased it. The phrase non sequitur is usually open. They're not telling you, even when they've identified it, it's not telling you, you must change this. We worked with Russell Harper, chief revisor of the Chicago Manual on this. And the way he describes it is he feels almost awkward giving someone advice when he can't see the document. So this is written in that with a headspace of you are the editor, you are in control. Here's a hint. It's usually this way, but it might be a quote. Who knows where and what the exact context is? It's just a bit of guidance.
I really like that, because even between me, Ellen, and Lauren, we're going through the Chicago Manual of Styles, we're in the Merriam-Webster, and we're still talking with each other like, hey, in this instance, here's my sentence. Now, I know it's usually this, but I'm really feeling like it has to be that. And we're going through it, we're like, yeah, no, it's definitely that. We're going to ignore this. So I like that it's like, hey, use your headspace. Does this feel better hyphenated, for example?
Exactly.
It's really good.
And then when you got it, and in this case, it seems to be can fix it, you just click fix. Really simple. And then go on to the next one.
And then it just fixes it. So if you have your track on, here's the cool thing. Something that I noticed. If you have your track changes on, when you're in the PerfectIt, you don't see the track changes. But then once you go back out and then you're viewing it just like a normal Word document, you will see the red track change when you have all that turned back on, which I think is really cool. You're going through seeing a clean document, especially for editors. And then when you're sending it to your author, they still have all those track changes. And it's just like you had gone in yourself and done it, which I thought was really cool because...
Yeah, the trick on that one, you've got it exactly right. Like the trick on that, you can keep track changes on. I've just put it on now. When you use PerfectIt, it runs in either simple markup or no markup. You don't do all markup, which is the one where all the red shows. That can cause it to miss some things. Fix can go wrong. So you do simple markup or no markup, and then at the end, just put all markup back on, and you've got all the red available.
Yeah, I've got another editing program that does not show up on the track changes when you make changes using that program. So then the author on the other end can't see what was done. So that makes it almost useless to me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is great. Does it show up with my name on it when it makes the change, or does it show up with like a different name?
Your name on it. It's exactly as if you made the change.
Awesome.
That was actually that was one of the first things I was like, I wonder how it does with track changes. So I took a document that had track on it, and then I ran PerfectIt, and did a few things, got back out of PerfectIt, and then looked, and it was like, oh, I made edits. Sweet.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just like I had done it. So
I will say, there's a cool little thing in Word that we all are scarred because we looked at Word's ability to compare documents 10, 15 years ago, and it was terrible. They've actually fixed that now. So if you use compare in Word, you can nowadays compare two documents and get your track changes back if you ever lose them. The long running problems there, it works now. Or at least in my experience. Next one. It says hyphenation of compounds. The term socioeconomic is usually closed. Same story, usually. We can click to see the guidance, and it says combining forms. Compounds that include a combining form such as electro or socio sometimes form one word, e.g. socioeconomic, and are sometimes hyphenated. Hyphenate if not in Merriam-Webster. And then if you click the red one here, you'd be taken to CMOS Online and get even more, because there's only so much you can put in a paragraph here. You can get even more guidance if you click that one. It'll go onto the website into the right place. So socioeconomic, one word, click fix, and then click next. And now you see the difference. So on that last one, just one suggestion. It's in Chicago, but the Chicago manual can't cover. We can't cover every. The Chicago manual is infinite, right? Or something close to it. We can't build everything that would possibly be advised by the Chicago manual in. What we've done is we've built enough that it's going to help you and it's going to give you these backgrounds and show you what's going on so that you can spot more yourself. But we can't build in everything. And then the entire way in which it was built was this idea that if you try to build in Chicago style, it just won't work. It'll pull up a ton of things that you guys described it, that as professionals, you don't want every possible mistake. You want it to be fairly sure. You want it to be worth your time. If software is going to stop you and make you look at something as a professional, you want it to be worth your time, worth your while. So here was the one where there's a suggestion, and here there's no suggestion. It's falling back onto PerfectIt's usual checking. Where Chicago exists, it overrides it. Where not, it's fallen back. And the nice thing is, it says a word appears with and without a hyphen, sociocultural with a hyphen, or sociocultural closed. We just saw this example, socioeconomic. So it's going to follow the same rule. So it's going to be closed. And I'm going to click fix, fix, fix. Does that make sense?
And it's just that easy. It pops, like you could be hundreds of pages in between, and it's just like, yep, I'm just gonna fix them all right there for you. And I like it. It just pulls everything together, and so it's like once a rule, it looks like, has been decided upon, then PerfectIt takes over on its end and applies that directly.
Exactly. So, but Lauren, you're gonna have to stop me at some point. You're like, this is a document with more examples than we possibly have time for. Do you want me to do one or two more? Do you want to stop there? And what will be most useful for the audience?
Well, this might be a good time for a little read,
Spotlight. Alrighty. And with that, this week's book spotlight is The Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White. The Elements of Style, 1918, by William Strunk Jr., is an American English writing style guide. It is best known, most influential prescriptive treatment of English grammar and usage, and often is required reading and usage in U.S. high school and university composition classes. This edition of The Elements of Style details 8 elementary rules of usage, 10 elementary principles of composition, a few matters of form, and a list of commonly misused words and expressions. Basically, it's the writer's handbook that every American writer needs to read, so get your copy today, or doom.
Now, we had a question earlier about how to integrate CMOS into the old subscription, but it looks like that's kind of already done in the program.
Well, there's multiple elements to that question. It is in the program, but on my account, I've unlocked it. So there is a little process you have to go through to verify that you have both subscriptions. So obviously, you've got Perfect on the machine, you've purchased PerfectIt, that's straightforward. Excuse me. So the number one goal for today was to introduce everyone to the product. Number 2 is for me not to cough. And that is pushing it at this point. And I just know that if I cough, it doesn't matter that it's virtual. It doesn't matter that been tested and it's not the thing. What matters is that people will just be freaked out. So I'm doing my best not to cough. Yeah. That is goal number 1. Yeah. Anyway,
you need a drink of water. Just drink it.
There we go. I'm good.
And you're water drinking.
What you have to do is you have to go into the PerfectIt website. And you have to choose, there's an option there where it will say connect. And that's you telling PerfectIt to connect to verify that you have a CMOS Online subscription. And once you've got that, it gives you a new license key, which unlocks the features that you've just seen there. So you do need to integrate it in that sense. I wonder if that question is also a little bit about how you integrate it in the sense of, well, I have a house style and there's Chicago. How do I integrate those two? Is that implied there? Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have your preferences, and you saw I created one a little bit earlier with the new RPG style that we just created, what you can do is mix that with everything in CMOS and put it into one. And I will show you that feature because that's really cool.
Boom, I just did it.
Yeah, just take a second. So let's say we're back in PerfectIt, and I go into Manage Styles again. And the key to this one, mixing your preferences, your house style with everything in Chicago, is the Combine button here. You click Combine, and it asks you, what's the base style? What's your reference style? Where are you starting from? Because if you're writing a house style, you don't want to completely rewrite the entire Chicago manual or any other style. You always want to have something that's at the root. So in this case, let's choose the Chicago manual style and add preferences from, well, we only put 1 or 2 preferences in there, but those were our planets that we created, our names, everything else that we're tracking. And let's give that a new name. Let's call that New RPG, but based on CMOS, and choose OK. And that's just going to take those 2 preferences that we built and mix it with the 13,000 plus preferences that are built into the Chicago manual style for PerfectIt. And then you get one with both of them, and you can check with that. So if I go back to the beginning, now it's based on the Chicago manual style, so it's got the logo, but it's also got our planets and character names and everything else that we built in running at the same time together.
You can't do any of that on Word for Mac, can you?
No. So if you're on the Mac version, I'm afraid you're limited to just choosing the Chicago manual style. Still very much there, but you just got these lists. You can't customize and build and combine.
Right.
At least not yet. We know that people want that feature, so that is very much something that we are working on.
Then Ellen, have you used PerfectIt to make a house style before?
No, because I'm on Word for Mac.
Oh, okay. So if we were to do that, to set up a house style for our author, would we do that while we are giving it the first read through? Or is that something that we'd kind of ask the author to do? Or at what stage would we make a house style, and what would that look like as an editor? Because I know how I'd do it. I'd have my Word document open over here, and I'd have like my list, like, this page is for the planets, this page is for the characters, and I'd start copying, pasting, and any details I'd copy, paste, put it down. But if I'm using PerfectIt to do that, what would that process look like?
So I think it can vary, and it will vary depending on exactly what type. The question would be, is your style very specific to just this author, or is there also another set of preferences that are underlying it? For example, it's this author, but I've got to conform to the publisher's preferences. Or if you're doing, technical writing, your client's preferences. And I kind of see these as layers of different styles. So that you have that root layer, which might be the Chicago manual, and then the next layer might be the preferences for that publisher or that journal or that magazine. And then at the top of it, I would have a layer for the actual project that's just very specific to this book, this RPG, whatever it might be. So if I do that, and then I can create those at different times, but the reason why I like doing it that way is because then the publisher one, I don't have to recreate that for every project. I've got that. The Chicago manual, I've got that. It's only those few, the character names, the very specific things to this project that become the new one. So if I did that, I would have, we're calling this the RPG style. I guess the one in between would be the publisher style. So publisher style. And in that one, I could build in all kinds of preferences. And so anytime we're working with this publisher, we might have a rule, phrases to avoid or consider. Let's not have anything that's stupidly gendered like that. If you want to do policeman, anytime in this style, it's going to say avoid gendered language, prefer police officer is usually better. So I can have all of these preferences, and I could build in hundreds here. They would be everything I want when I'm working with this publisher, and I could mix that with the style for the specific project. I'm not an editor, so I shouldn't really be answering this. Does that make sense with how all of you would do this?
That does make sense. And also, can I keep it for like another project?
Exactly. That's the whole point here. So that you can mix these for each project. So on the next one, you would do combine, and we might start with Chicago Manual, and then we'd add the preferences from the publisher. So that's CMOS with the publisher, and that one then stays good for the next project. And I'm going to combine that one with the RPG specific style. So that publisher set of preferences can be built on and always and kept and always used forever. Whereas the ones that were very specific to that book or RPG or whatever it is, it's just for that one.
So it's kind of like going to save us a lot of time, just with that one choice, being able to open up that house style and use it again and again and again for different projects.
Yeah,
I like that. What has been the feedback from your users so far? You rolled out the Chicago Manual of Style part of the app about a month ago now. Have you gotten some feedback from users?
They just absolutely love it. Like it's great fun for us because I look at Twitter and someone I haven't met has said something wonderful and nice about our product. It's fantastic. It's not that they never did that before. It's just that the frequency. I mean, it also has to do with how we introduced it. The fact that these are two key tools that people already often have, and we didn't, charge a ton extra for it. We made it free for anyone who has both tools. I think that helped in the reaction, but fundamentally, the idea that you don't have to look across to Chicago, that usually it finds something, and editors love it when it finds that one thing that they might have missed. That's people might never have spotted it anywhere, but the fact that it's found that thing. They absolutely love that, and they love seeing that little bit of guidance just built in. That moment of the see more from CMOS. That's the bit where everyone goes, ooh. I think you guys might have even done it on this call. Like everyone just loves seeing that integrated, and I can't quite claim the milestone yet, but I checked this morning, and we've almost hit 1,000 accounts. Having synced between the two products. So that's an extraordinary reaction from this sector that other people think is not technologically oriented. Not true. It's awesome.
So we're bringing people into the PerfectIt family. Nice.
We'll make editors out of you.
Yes. So let's be clear. Those are people that are in the PerfectIt family. It's that they are syncing their two accounts.
Okay. Have you seen people go take a second look at PerfectIt since you rolled out this new tool?
Of course. I mean, we have a partnership with the biggest name in this part of editing, so that it's beneficial for finding new people. If you've never heard of PerfectIt, and you go, oh, I don't know, I've tried other writing tools, I don't know about this. People said it was good, but now splashed on our homepage is the words, the Chicago Manual of Style. There is an authority that we are enjoying their reflected glory of their 115 years in hour 12.
Have users come back to say, I'm struggling with this aspect of PerfectIt, and is there a way that new users getting into it for the first time could kind of avoid that little hiccup?
Interesting. I don't see a lot of that. I think it's because because the nature of our audience is so specific. We are not the product for everyone. PerfectIt doesn't try to be the product for everyone. The same things that you are delighted that it catches and shows you are things that 90% of the population would look at and go, give me a break, it doesn't matter, that's not important. And these things are important, but they're important if you're a language professional. They're important if this is something that's going for publication. It's not things that are important if you're crafting an email. And other products tend to be more for general writing. They target the wider population, which as businesses has got to make a lot of sense. But for us, we are very much the product for language professionals. And as a result, we don't see a lot of people arriving and saying, oh, I don't get this, I don't understand it. It's the kind of thing that actually, if you're in that group of professional writing, professional editing, technical writing, medical writing, proposal writing, you look at it and you see a result and you immediately go, oh, wow. And that's the audience that loves it. I haven't seen anything to the contrary of that, even with a wider audience finding us through the Chicago Manual. It's still very much that core group who get it.
Now, I noticed that you have a slightly different accent than the rest of us on this show. And I, as an editor, sometimes I'm editing a book from the UK and the spelling's different. The punctuation can be a little bit different and the rules change, but I want to make sure my client is happy. Is there a part of PerfectIt that could help me as an American editor to edit a British manuscript?
There definitely is. Let's be clear about how this has come about. This has come about because I'm not a good editor, and I cannot begin to do the stuff that you are describing. That I'm half British, half American. That stuff just destroys my brain. That's where this product comes from. These things are so hard to keep track of that's how I ended up. I'm not involved in its development now. The engineering team kicked me off coding a few years ago, and the product is much better for that. But it's where the origin of the product came and why I was able to do the original version. And I will show you those sorts of options. So if I jump back. Oh, I'm getting a little faster at this now. There we go.
Yay, show and tell.
Right? It's a little less awkward. So you could do, it's especially true with the Chicago Manual. So if you're checking the Chicago Manual, and I'll jump in and show you. A good little tip for all the PerfectIt users. So when PerfectIt starts, a lot of people miss a feature here. Oh, let's wait till I actually find something.
Hey Dan, I'm not sure why, but it's not. Your screen is not showing up on our screen.
I went too fast. That's it. I got so good at sharing this. Is it still not showing?
No, it's like it's in permanent load mode, so you might need to.
Oh, weird.
Stop
Okay, yeah. I think I got too good. I think that's genuinely what happened.
That's okay. We break technology at least 20 times a show. So, like me, my camera won't work, so that's always good. Oh,
now you're muted.
You muted yourself. So
no.
right down right below on our screen, you're muted.
It's not.
There you go.
It's not. No, the browser says it lost connection.
No.
You guys are saying you've got to change this button. I'm like, yeah, button is not available. Okay, I'm going to go way slower because clearly it can't go that fast. All right. It's awkward this way, but hopefully it won't lose me this time. Can you see it now?
No.
No one's saying.
It doesn't like us anymore.
Okay. Then let's not share that. Can you see me now? Can you hear me now?
We can see and hear you.
Okay. Weird because it's all gone blank here. But let's not try sharing anymore. Clearly, I got too good at it and it's just given up. What you would do is you would go into that choice at the beginning where you had Chicago Manual. Mm-hmm. That the Chicago Manual is tied to Merriam-Webster as a Merriam-Webster is kind of the focus. It's the reference dictionary for that style. If you're in the UK, that's not going to necessarily be all that helpful. So what you can do is run first with the Chicago Manual style, and then you can go back to the beginning in PerfectIt, and you can choose from those list of styles. you can choose the drop down. There's a UK spelling, US spelling, Canadian spelling, Australian spelling. So you can get something closer. That the UK one is much more, it's nearer to Oxford and some analysis of Google Ngrams. And then you can build in UK preferences that way. That will get you some of the way there, but but spelling is not the only difference. So the word choice.
Oh, he completely lost his browser. His browser kicked him out.
Well, while we get Daniel back, Ellen, I know you've done a lot of work with British authors before, and you didn't necessarily have a software tool to help you. So how did you figure out what the spelling should be, where there's an error, and also like the grammar and the syntax and stuff? Like, how did you figure that out and then get that in the manuscript?
Hundreds of thousands of hours spent reading.
Yeah.
That's really the only way you can do it. It's rote memorization, just like with American spelling. Basically, I just spent a lot of time reading, especially as a kid. So,
yeah, one of the things that instantly is a pickup for me is how they spell realize. if there's an S in there, I'm like, oh, I'm probably dealing with the UK.
Yeah.
Those are
Word will. You can set Word to UK English.
You see, I didn't know you could do that.
Yes. You can.
There's all these things. See, I just learned something. I'm sitting here trying to do it the hard way. I've got like the Cambridge University Dictionary open. I'm double checking. I'm like, that's not how I spell it. Maybe that's a UK spelling. And then I spend 5 minutes double checking it.
Okay, hang on. I will show you how to do that because I have Word. Doesn't look like your word, but it's still a word. Let me just get this open. Okay.
Yeah, I find when I have a British client that I quickly get into their voice. Like they have a strong voice and I kind of hear it in my head. And that sort of helps me to pick up on how the sentence ought to flow or not flow. And that gives me clues. But it doesn't necessarily tell me where the punctuation is right and wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. An N dash get confusing.
Well, actually, British authors use less punctuation than Americans tend to do. So that can make it easier in some ways.
I mean,
good to see you guys again.
Yeah, good to see you.
It just dropped you right out. It's like, nope, they don't get to know this secret.
No, that was the one. I just kept on talking because I like the sound of my own voice. I'm laughing at my own jokes. I don't realize that it's dropped me out.
Ken wants to point out that Pro Writing Aid falls down on the US-UK differences. Ooh.
It's good to know.
What I said about that was at the start of PerfectIt, there is the drop down where you choose the Chicago manual. You can choose UK and US spelling. You've got all of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then what I said was that doesn't really cover everything. That there's much more to it than just the spelling differences.
There's M dashes and N dashes, and where you put the right quote marks, and how you use semicolons, and
and that just destroys my brain.
Yeah.
And please, everyone out there, please don't use a semicolon for a comma. Ever. Ever.
Yeah.
Just don't use it ever, and you won't be wrong. If you need one, we can put it in for you. If you don't need one, we don't want to take it out.
I think I had one page in this one that I just got through where it was a list of like 7 or 9 things, and the commas were semicolons.
Well, that's UK. That's a UK thing. So unless they're in the UK or
the UK list semicolon perfectly normal.
I took that out. They were semicolon heavy anyway.
Some people just are. I don't know why, but they are.
I gotta say, I love a good semicolon.
My American professors stripped them out of my prose. They're like, no, get this out of here. Just make 2 separate sentences. I'm like, yes, sir.
I spent years ranting about semicolons, and I just have given up. Literally years ranting about semicolons on social media. Nobody's listening.
I've put them in. I take a lot of them out, but I will put them in.
Once in a blue moon.
Mm-hmm.
The ratio is probably 100 to 1. I'm not exaggerating.
When I agreed to come on this show, I did not know there was going to be an anti-semicolon vibe. I mean, that is just... this is shocking to me. I love it.
No, it's not an anti-semicolon
idea.
vibe at all. It's not an anti-semicolon vibe. It's an anti-using a semicolon wrong vibe.
Here's a fun one. So a short story manuscript that I just finished. The author put out a kind of like a Shatner shout out for this what is it? It's like a video recording type thing. And I was like, hey, why not use the Shatner comma? So I added in Shatner commas because, like, why not get that vibe?
Ken points out that 20 of the top 25 science fiction novels have a semicolon in the first chapter. The first chapter, wow.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
If they used it right, I'm down. I'm totally
yes. Yeah, Maya wants to clarify, we're only against semicolons because most writers don't know how to use them.
That is just well put.
Yes. Yeah, because they're not the same thing as a comma.
We're not against their use, we're against their incorrect use.
Yeah. I see a lot of the usage of a semicolon is when they're trying to like add a pause. And I'm like, that's not, no. We're gonna delete that because you're not pausing. But yeah. Anyway, so semicolon rant over.
Years I've spent ranting about semicolons.
So this has been a huge win for PerfectIt to be able to add this new really exciting tool to your program. Do you have any more any news coming out in the next year or so for PerfectIt, or where do you think PerfectIt's going next?
My God. I mean, everything has gone into this moment. And it's not done. So that I think you should show and tell with the book again if it's still near you. Like if you look at the size of the Chicago manual, this
door stopper.
Exactly. Look at that.
Yeah, and just like open up a page because it's not big writing. It's tiny little microscope needing level size.
And if any editors are out there, you're probably cringing because you're like, she's holding 16th edition. That's old. It's outdated. You can't use 16th edition anymore. And that's another problem. They keep on coming out with another new tome that you have to buy and then scroll through and find all the different, not scroll through, you have to page through and find all the differences. I do with my own brain.
I definitely recommend their online edition. But yeah, so that tome is we've only done a small fraction of it. Like if you look at the list of what we've included, it makes a big difference. 13,000 plus things. We've done a lot, and we've tried to focus what we do on what will be useful for house style preferences. But if you think about the Chicago Manual, what it's most famous for is citations, and we haven't gone to any of that right yet. So there's it's not just the most. There's so much else. We've done what could be put into PerfectIt's existing checks, and that was it's a huge amount of work. So yeah, going forward, we would love to do more of it. Just like to have this partnership is incredible. Why stop at the things that are relevant for house styles? What things are relevant for publishers? What things are relevant for academics? There's so much to the Chicago Manual. We would love to go further. I assure you, I sit every day by the phone waiting for the next style manual to call me. That would be amazing. But this partnership, as you say, is incredible, and I see this more as a start than an end point.
Love it.
I'm just heartened by how many people actually have subscriptions to both already, and we're just able to merge seamlessly. Those are our people. Those are our people. They're out there.
You can't see me, but I'm clapping. We are one. We are one. All right. Any other lingering questions that you, Lauren, or Ellen may have had? Burning, percolating.
Mac, word for Mac, word for Mac.
Word for Mac, yes.
We're in the wind.
And Kit's future some type of web-based or separately programmed where they could probably like load in the document like you do for the Pro Writing Aid with all the PerfectIt good deliciousness involved.
Yeah,
future maybe.
Movements towards platform neutral is definitely sort of a long term goal.
All right, so keep a lookout for it, everyone, and definitely check out that spotlight for the elements of style. All good stuff, and hit the subscription button, ding the little bell. Come check us out on Keystroke Medium on Facebook. Come check out Keystroke Medium on Discord. I don't have a link for it, but we do exist there as well. Yeah, thank you so much, Daniel, for coming back and letting us dive deep on stuff that makes us happy.
Oh no, thank you guys so much for inviting me back so quickly in the wake of the launch. It's delighted to be here. Great to be able to talk about it while it's still so fresh.
Alrighty, and yeah, and definitely go check out PerfectIt if you want to get that CMOS on the PerfectIt. You gotta go get a subscription from there, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. You already had to get PerfectIt. You already had to get CMOS. Now you can just use them both together, and it's going to be continuously updating while PerfectIt is devouring this manual door stopper of the Chicago manual into its programminess. So yeah, definitely everyone out there who currently has it, if you're like, it doesn't have this yet, it will soon, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Alrighty. For Lauren Moore and Ellen V. Cutter Campbell, I am Kalene Williams. Be sure to come back next week. We're going to talk about more reading, writing, and everything in between right here on Keystroke Mediums, The Writer's Journey.